So, let's see if it's working. Can you hear me? How about over here? Still hear me? Opal, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Opal? Yeah. Can Fred, yeah. You still hear me? What about now? Okay, cool. So I don't really know what they're doing. They're just excited that I'm home, I guess. Hi, little baby. So I wanted to test out these new DJI. I can't say that because I'm from the South. DJI mics. And I knew for the channel I didn't want to get something that mounted to the top of it and had like a sock, because if I walk over here, you know, clearly you wouldn't hear me as well. So, you know, she wouldn't hear me as well. You know, I had to put a mic on her. Just how it goes. So what Fred is currently sniffing over there, and what you're seeing, is a 1991 Honda Civic LX. And I got it recently, a couple of months ago. Hi, baby. I know. Yep. I know. I know. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. So, I bought it from a gentleman in Scottsboro-ish area. And me and Zach Gibbs went to go get it. And he had put it up on Marketplace. And my buddy Patty had sent it to me, and he said, hey man, you know, quote for quote, I know you got hella projects, but you need this one. And when I looked at it, I agreed, because it was $800 and it ran and drove. Everything worked. It was pretty much all original. And since I got rid of my '89 sedan years ago, I knew I wanted another one. So this one currently has 421,000 miles. I got it at about 419, I think. It still had the original D15 B2. Still, you know, as a manual car. I am currently the third owner, which made it even better. I messaged the guy and I was like, listen, I will give you your money. Please, just hold it for me, because I have to have it. So he didn't respond at first. He read it, and I got it. He was probably getting blown up, which I found out later when I got there that he had hundreds and hundreds of messages and people who were offering him over asking price, because, I mean, clearly you can't get one of these for $800 anymore. You're buying a shell. You're buying without an engine and transmission, basically. So clearly I had to have it, and I wasn't even planning on buying a car, but that went out the window. I mean, you know, you do it, you know, who cares, right? So Patty sent it to me. The listing had been up for 17 minutes, and I messaged him. I said, I've got to have it. You know, if you'll hold it until Friday, I'll come get it, just because I can't get there to get it. So I asked him if he needed a deposit. He said no. So I was like, okay. But he mainly was appreciative that I didn't just blow him up with questions, because I guess everybody else was saying, hey, you know, what's wrong with it? You know, why is it so cheap? You know, there's got to be something wrong with it. I mean, it's a 32-year-old car. Like, come on. Like, of course there's going to be some stuff wrong with it, but it ran and drove. So it was worth $800. It was already lowered. He already had it on a set of struts and springs. So had like 0405 Civic wheels on it. And since the Integra isn't here, and it's currently at the paint booth, you see what I had to do. It didn't even last an hour. As soon as I got home, I jacked it up, pulled the wheels off, put my T37s on it. So I'll get you in here, you know, so you can look at it. But I mean, it's it's cherry. I mean, it really is. I also drove it to Pascagoula, Mississippi. I'm northern Alabama, so it was quite a trek. You know, it was about a 6-hour drive. But I went down there, and on the way down there, the coolant overflow was getting pressurized, and it was spitting coolant over. And that's head gasket. So, I mean, I knew that I would find something wrong with it, but it was hilarious because I got it, and I didn't even touch anything. I got it, brought it home, put the wheels and tires on it, and just started daily driving it. I mean, it was that reliable still. But the head gasket went, so I knew that was going to have to be addressed. But even after that, when I got back, it was going through about 4 quarts of oil, which I think these hold like 3.8 maybe. I was going through 4 quarts of oil in about 400 miles. So that just wasn't really, economical, So anyway, so the story is that the lady, the original owner, bought it, 91, from Rock Hill, I guess South Carolina, I think is where that's at, Honda Cars of Rock Hill. She drove it until about 300,000, I think is what he said, and he maintained it. He said he had already put a timing belt on it, and by the time I bought it, he said it was due for another timing belt. So he added about 100,000. What are you doing? What are you gonna do? Dogs. So I gave him the money, got in the car, and drove it home with the AC on. And it blew my mind because this is a full power car, power windows, power locks, AC works, power steering, cruise. It's a manual. I knew I was never going to find another one. I just knew it. And especially in, the bestest, worstest color that they ever made, which is their white. And I don't know why it's so terrible, but it's horrible. The white's junk. It doesn't last, and it just turns into confetti after about 2 decades. Surprisingly, this one hasn't really done that yet, but I'll show you a spot on that driver's side rear. I mean, she's rough. She needs some stuff. Didn't mean for that to happen. So we go to an event every year in South Carolina that's on the tail of the Dragon. It's called Classic Hondas on the Dragon. It's amazing. It's literally the best Honda event I've ever been to. And I will always go back. It'll be a yearly thing. We plan way ahead. This year was cutting it close because I had to worry about this, but we planned on taking the Integro. I wanted to kind of debut it there. It's not like a crazy debut magazine stuff. No, I just wanted to debut was more like for me to bring it there and be like, man, I've finally got like a nicely painted car. But that didn't work out, and things happen. So with this one, with it burning as much oil as it was, I was thinking valve seals. So, might as well take that chance to look at how the cylinders looked and all that stuff. It was going to go one of 2 ways. You're going to pull the head off, and the cylinders look awesome. So you get the head built, put it on, roll out. But in my case, that just didn't happen. So I pulled the head off. The cylinders were scored enough to where I could just hold my fingernail in them, and I knew that just wasn't going to work. So, I worked for Acura, and I went to training in Georgia. And before I left, I talked to a guy named Mike, and I saw a listing on Marketplace. It was D16A6. This car came with a D15 B2. So D16A6 with a Jackson Racing supercharger on it. And he wanted $2,000 for it. And it was a full swap. SI trans, SI motor, Jackson Racing supercharger. And I couldn't pass that up either. same thing with the Civic. I was like, I've got to have that. So contacted him, told him I wanted to buy it. It was still in his sedan. So he was like, okay, you know, when you buy it, you know, I'll pull it. All right. So we kind of went back and forth. I put a deposit on it, and he pulled the listing. And then when I got out of training, I took our loaner car, which is a 23 MDX, and went to his house. He had pulled it out and left it on the hoist for me. So I just went in his backyard, basically backed up, put it in the car, and rolled out. So I brought it home that Friday, and Saturday I went back up there, or Saturday I was going to go back up there, but I ended up, you know, having a couple, you know, too many of them's, you know, the things that make you kind of, you know. So didn't get up there Saturday. So Monday, quit that. So Monday night, or Monday evening, I guess I should say, I'm about to get off work. It's like 3 o'clock in the evening. I get off at 4. And I had the swap, but I didn't have all the stuff for the supercharger. And it's the week before the Dragon. Literally that coming weekend, we're going to North Carolina or South Carolina. And I was like, if this works, that's fine. If it doesn't, then, you know, I'm going without a car, which is totally fine. But I did, you know, you want to take your car. So Monday night, I pull it in. We push it in at 3 o'clock. And at 9 o'clock, I was leaving with a new swap in it. So right now, the Jackson Racing Charger isn't currently on it, which is a bummer. You know, I would have loved to just put it in the car and do some stuff and, you know, be done. But I'm picky with certain things. I have to get Honda. I have to get a conversion harness for going from the DPFI to MPFI, or the other way around. I don't remember. It's EF stuff. Okay. Anyway, so I didn't have that. I've still got to get it. So I just took the intake for my D15, bolted it on the D16, and plugged it back up, and runs like a champ. Runs awesome. Doesn't burn. Like, I mean, it might burn a little bit of oil, but I mean, it's hardly noticeable. So I know that I've been talking and doing all sorts of stuff, but I'm actually really excited about this car. And I haven't posted a while on the channel. I wanted to make sure that I got a tripod and a mic first, and now I can kind of focus on talking instead of holding the camera, talking, showing you what I'm talking about and whatever. So now I can kind of bring you in and check this out. I mean, you know, she's solid, you know. A little bit of bubbling right there. The luxury experimental trim. A little bit of rust right there. And of course the back seat's done. So this is the spot that I was talking about. And when I got it, it was like, man, it was so bad. Like this whole side, it was like covered in this like blackish, nasty goop. So I like wet sanded all of that. And that's all I did. You know, I didn't do anything else. So that was good. That was professional work. But, a little ding in the fender, you know, right here. But I mean, this thing is like pretty freaking cherry, man. I'm missing one cover right there for the handle. And of course, it's a little dirty. I do daily drive it. $421,000 miles. It's crazy. I mean, Premier. Premier Pioneer. Great. I actually recorded some footage of Gibbs and I taking this interior out and cleaning it. But the audio wasn't really the best, and I just wasn't really happy with how it turned out, so I kind of left it alone. There's one crack in the windshield right here. It goes up. Yeah, this door panel's a little beat up, but I mean, like, the back seat came out absolutely immaculate. And of course, that's my DJI box. I mean, I literally just pulled them out of the box and started. So. Well, let me get it open. Yes, sir. Yes. You ever just get called and berated for, you know, it's always the BMW drivers, you know? They call you and they're like, what are you doing? My BMW's broken. And you're like, well, yeah, I'm hanging out. And they're like, you mean your car's not broken? No. And then it just goes from there, you know, it just kind of goes downhill. And it's just confusing, okay? That's all I'm trying to say. So, this is the D16A6 that I put in here. I really, really wanted to use the original engine longer than I got out of it. But that's just not the way it worked, you know. But with the ability of possibly having a supercharged D-Series with all the accessories, you know, all the comforts that you were allotted in 91, and it being a 91 Honda Civic, I mean, for some reason, it just tickles my fancy, you know what I mean? It really gets me going. So I think that's what we're doing. I've got a lot of stuff that's, dude, I've got a lot of stuff coming up, and I haven't made videos because I didn't like the content anymore. I didn't like that, you know, the way that the mic was going, and not having a tripod, not having a little bit better camera equipment. I just wasn't really in the mood to do it. And there, I mean, to be honest, there's just a ton of stuff to do. I mean, there's stuff going on all the time. Side work, you know, other people's cars, the cars at work. And then when I get home, I mean, it's really hard to, you know, stay motivated. But I think soon we're going to be doing a carport or a lean-to, and I think I'm going to do a video about that. And we're going to do the Jeep. We're going to be working on it. I finally fixed that stupid thing. As far as running wise, I could not figure it out what was going on with running, with it running so poorly, and it ended up being injectors. So I almost pulled out the straight six for an injector problem. And after fixing the injectors, everything's brand new now. You know how that works? When it's not one of these, for some reason, I just go completely stupid. I just lose all my diagnostic abilities. So yeah, the whole sitting for 7 years thing, just, you know, I'm like, why is it so rich? I mean, the tank's full of crud, so I clean that out. Put fresh gas in it. Still don't run right. It's still flooding. That's weird. Put a regulator on it. No, I don't fix it. It's still flooding. Well, maybe the ignition's not hot enough. So I keep
doing that over and over and over again. And yep, it didn't work out at all. So finally ordered a set of injectors, put them in it, and it fixed it. Yep. So that's coming. I recently bought a 5.3 swapped Z71 for my brother, and we'll probably be doing some stuff with that, the Camaro as well, and clearly I'll be doing a video when I get the Integra back after it's painted. But I wanted to put a new video testing the mics and the tripod and the new camera, because this is a Sony A7 now, whereas I was using the Panasonic Lumix, the GX85. So this is a full frame camera. I'm going to get some better glass for it, and it's much more versatile. So whereas the the Lumix is more of like, it's a micro four thirds, and it's more of like a point and shoot. So I just have a lot more capabilities with A7. It's like the LS of the camera world right now. So yeah, it's kind of an update to the channel, but it's also kind of spotlighting this 91 Honda Civic, because I love this car. It's like a white Civic has always been, sort of a thing. My first Honda was a white Civic sedan, and I loved it. It was, I hated it in the beginning, but it was such a transition from what I thought about Hondas at the time when I got it to, when it left me. I was full blown in it by the time it left. So this car, especially with how cheap I bought it, that's Fred. It's okay. Yeah, he does that. Don't worry, okay? I understand, but don't. It's okay. I see you. Trust me. Everybody does it. It's fine. But the white Civic it just means a lot to me. And getting this one as cheap as I did, it's not going anywhere, So hopefully one of my dogs doesn't knock my tripod over with the camera on it. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Oh, wow. I shouldn't have done that. Whoo, when you stand up too fast and, oh man. Whew, God, these Honklads are good for your feet, ain't, they don't do nothing for your knees when you squat. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what I want to talk about. I don't know how to end these, I guess, we'll just end it. So don't look around the yard too much. All right, look right here. There's a reason. Yeah, I gotta get to it. Gosh. So if you watched it and you got something from it, or it may have piqued your interest in the channel again, I appreciate that you watching it. I guess I'm gonna hang out with my dogs, drink me a couple of thingies, those things we were talking about earlier that kind of, that makes you do the equilibrium dance, yeah, or lack thereof. So I'm gonna drink a couple of those, kick my feet back, and pull this out of my backyard, because I feel kind of weird. Maybe that'll go away with time, but I feel kind of weird about it right now. So anyway, thanks for watching again. More stuff's coming, install videos. I'm hoping to actually start taking this thing to work. I mean, I'd really like to set it up and show you, for services, show you certain things that we see a lot on newer Acuras that, people aren't really talking about other than technicians. I'd like to bring that into the consumer, viewing, because some people just don't understand what goes into it. Some people, they leave this strictly as a hobby and they don't do it as a career. So when you combine the two, it gets, it's a lot different. But that's all I'm trying to say, okay? I know, I'm a rambler. Anyway,
So, see you next time.